Here with head softball coach Shelli Sarchett, kind of previewing the games this weekend. The Jacks are on the road, starting off the CCAA slate with Cal State San Marcos this weekend. Coach, first off, thanks for talking to us, and just kind of give us a recap of your big road trip in Texas 2 weekends ago. Just kind of give us the overview of that and how nice was it to kind of get the season started.
Well, it might not show it in the win-loss column, but I think Texas was good for us. It was a challenge and something we wanted to do right off the bat, knowing that we were going into a tough CCAA schedule. To play high-caliber teams like that, it really showed a lot. Again, not maybe in the win-loss column, but it showed us where we needed to grow and where we have grown from last year. And so it was really exciting to get out there and compete with high-caliber teams, knowing that we are going to be competing with that kind of caliber every weekend in the CCAA.
Yeah, and talk about that a little bit. Just go into a little more detail on that. I know you said you kind of highlighted spots of improvement. What were those spots, and what spots do you see going into this trip with San Marcos that the girls are really going to have to pay attention to?
First and foremost, looking at stat sheets from last year, it's our pitching. We went up against some tough hitting teams in Texas, and for our pitchers to be able to keep us competitive in games, we did get let one get away from us, but to allow us to be competitive from first to seventh inning instead of the ball game getting out of hand early, that made a big difference in our gameplay. And our hitters coming out, putting out runs for the most part, our offense creating situations with Michaela on the bases, stealing 16 out of 16 stolen bases. We also had some others putting pressure on the bases as well, and we're going to continue to do that throughout the season. It was really just the difference in how we played that maybe outsiders aren't going to see. It's the fact that we stayed competitive, and in the dugout we were supportive of each other. When I made substitutions, there was an immediate, hey, you've got this, cover my back, instead of maybe a rolling eye. There was a lot more things we saw as a team dynamic that others outside wouldn't see. So it was positive for us, and we're looking forward to San Marcos.
And talk to me a little more about Michaela setting a CCAA single game record for stolen bases. Like you said, 16 for 16 on stolen bases over the weekend. I think after the weekend she was leading the country in bases stolen. Yeah. Just talk about how big that's been for you guys this year, just the way she's obviously been a great player here for so long, but just talk about her going into her senior year, just how big that is to have a leader like that in your program.
It's not even about the stolen bases for Michaela. It's her leadership that she's really just stepped up, really helping the younger girls, and maybe not vocal, but really just setting by example. I mean, she's been here for 6 years. She knows the go-around. She knows the CC2A. She knows what we need to do in order to turn that table to be competitive. I can't stop her on the bases, though she's on her own. By the time I tell her to stop, she's already passed me. So she's got free will there, and she's doing it. And it's really helped, like, again, setting that tone for others to make those adjustments on the bases and be more aggressive or more competitive there. And so again, it's not about maybe the vocal part of Michaela. It's just going out there and doing what needs to be done in order to win ball games or compete in ball games, and it's rubbing off on those others. And again, I can't speak enough about what she's bringing to the table.
Cool. And just talk to me about San Marcos this weekend. Obviously, this is a quality opponent you're starting the season off with on the road early in middle of February. You've already been thrown to the fire with Texas, but now in terms of the CCAA season, it seems like it's back into it right away again. What keys are you going to be looking for from San Marcos? How do they play? What is it that makes them such a tough opponent?
They bring a balanced attack. They've got a returning All-American pitcher. They've got all-region hitters. They're gonna come at us from every angle. And again, we throw them to the wolves against Texas, but it doesn't stop with San Marcos. and even with Chico coming in the following week and the rest of the CC2A. But we're starting off with ranked teams, and I just think that in order for our young ladies to realize what needs to be done in order to play, we have to play this high level teams, and we're going to continue to grow. We're going to go through our bumps and bruises throughout the season, but we're going to continue to grow with every competitor that we see. But yeah, what a better way to start. Well, I guess there's other better ways to start off season, but with pushing these guys to the limits in the beginning with Texas and with San Marcos, we're looking forward to some fun games. I think we're going to be a lot more competitive this year, and it's already more fun.
That's all I got.
Coach, I mean, you kind of partially answered this already with, talking about what maybe didn't show in the stat sheet from your trip to Texas. But I did want to ask about, you start off 2-2, obviously start off against facing the number 13th ranked team in the country. And then it felt like, from the streak, obviously dropping the last 4 on Saturday and Sunday, it felt like maybe it got off track, maybe some of it unraveled. I know even in that first game, I think it was close, but kind of there was a late, and it felt like maybe that might have carried. What were your thoughts about kind of what happened in that final sequence on Saturday and Sunday?
It's something we talked about after Friday, was having these girls turn the corner and learning how to finish off and learning how to win. We struggled last year with that, and we learned a lot about ourselves in that sense, and just learning how to compete for 7 innings instead of competing for 3 or 4 and then letting the ball game get away from us. Starting that first game against St. Mary's, where they are now currently ranked, and we lose by 1-1, where we should have won a ball game. But that's where it's like, hey, you guys know you can compete. Now let's turn that table and know how to win. And that's what we're really focusing on. It's just competing for 7 innings and competing at the highest level instead of just competing for 1 to 3 innings and then allowing a team to run with it.
Another thing I wanted to kind of address to that same, some of this is out of your control in terms of, I assume, the CCAA schedule, but it feels like, obviously you do your best. I feel like the Texas trip, it all leads to you embracing the difficulty of your early schedule, which is going to be, San Marcos is ranked. I'm not sure if Chico has become a ranked team. I know they were sitting.
They received votes this year, or this week.
They were ranked. They became ranked.
No, they received votes for the top 20.
They received votes. Yep. I think that was the same with the preseason poll. So when you have that difficulty of an early schedule, how do you try and embrace that challenge? Obviously, it's tough. You don't want to fall into a hole. At the same time, it can be something where maybe on the positive end, when you played that level of an opponent and all your opening, I'm trying to count the games, 16 games or so, I think. When you play that level of an opponent for your 16 games, does it maybe make it easier? At least you've seen the best, and then you can kind of.
I don't know if anything's ever easier, but it speaks to the competitive natures of these young ladies, and if we continue to throw them to the wolves, how do we grow? I guess that's the question, because how do we continue to stay in ball games? I think that's just, it's a hard question to ask, I guess, because we're not quite there. We haven't really got started yet, but it's the positive talk that we have towards each other and towards themselves first, and knowing that as long as we're going in a good direction, win or lose, we're going to stay competitive. We just want to make sure we're not following back in a negative direction. So, even though we ended rough in Texas, we came out there knowing that we moved in a positive direction in our competitiveness, in our just leadership, in our sportsmanship. As long as we're moving in that positive direction, I think that's going to help them continue to stay positive in this rough patch of season, although the whole season is a rough patch. So,
last week we talked, I think in the in our preseason kind of meeting with questions about, kind of there is that nice element of you play this week and then you get a long layoff to make adjustments. What kind of adjustments might you make coming away from that initial 8-game span, going to Texas and then now entering?
Yeah, so a lot of self-reflection and team reflection. What we did is we really spent the last 2 weeks focusing, or we will spend the last 2 weeks, focusing on the little things in order to make the big things happen. we did a lot of that before, but now after seeing those 8 games, seeing what we need to do, we really went back down to the drawing board and go, okay, backhands for the infielders. This is what we have to focus on. Pitchers, this drop ball, whatever it might be. And we really focused on little things. And instead of just like scrimmaging and playing each other, we broke things down and even started from just basic mechanics. And I mean, that was really the theme of it. It's just focusing on the little things in order to make the big things happen.
And maybe lastly, I'll just say, I mean, there's been these different seasons. You're pleased with kind of the season or the team camaraderie you seem to have developed. But what would it take? Obviously, again, we've alluded to the difficulty of these next 2 opponents. What would it take to come away with it feeling like it was a success? And is that quantitative? Is it splitting each series? Is it winning each series? Is it just seeing certain development on the field? What would it take to come away with these tough 2 seasons?
I think it's all of the above, honestly. I mean, we want to come away with, at least winning the series. That's going to start and helping us with progress towards getting into the CCAA tournament. But also seeing the progress in our hitters making adjustments, our pitchers making adjustments. If we're seeing that, it's early enough in the season where we can continue to grow and hopefully make an impact or use that growth for the rest of the season in order to make the CC2As. But again, it's just all about growth in all areas. We focused on backhands this weekend. So if I see a girl making a backhand that we focused on, well, great. That's a success in itself. If I see a pitcher who struggled with a rise ball earlier and is hitting her rise ball today, that's growth. It might not be successful all the time, but if it's growth that we're seeing, I have to be happy with that. And hopefully that growth turns into winning and turning that corner and having these girls understand that they can win. As a group collectively, they are competitive and they can win in the CC2A. Now let's turn that corner and make them show it. They believe it. Let's show it.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. All good? You're welcome, guys.